very excited for our next guest. I've been a fan for a while. And then the timing of, I mean, obviously the timing makes sense, but all of the Russell Westbrook stuff that popped off yesterday was, I'm sure, great timing for our guest. But please welcome to the show Yaron Weitzman, who's got a new book coming out, A Hollywood Ending: The Dreams and Drama of the LeBron Lakers. What's going on, man? How we doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
What number guest am I?
Oh, what number guest? All right. I think we're at 4 right now. I think we're at guest 4. But you also, I mean, I guess you're on the other side of this, but I feel like you have probably just been nonstop talking to people in settings similar to this for the last few days.
It's been a lot of, but you know what? It is an honor, right? You come out of your, the way I joke about it is like I have like 2 weeks to talk about 3 years of work. So let's do it. I'm happy. Anyone, anywhere. That's
right. That is a good reframing. Anytime you're like, wow, okay, I'm going to answer the same 7 questions over the next 20 minutes. You're like, but this is for 3 years, so it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering from your side of things, like when you see, I feel like there's such mixed feelings about the like NBA Central the account in general, just like reporting stuff. But that must be kind of a surreal thing of almost being like, well, this is actually pretty good because this is going to get a lot of eyeballs on it.
Okay, so we'll go meta. Like being an author is so weird, right? Not a journalist. I'm saying an author separately, right? Not because I'm important. Like, so I'm a journalist for, let's say it's 3 years. For let's say 2 years and 10 months, I'm a journalist. And then these 2 months I'm in sales, and it's really weird. And it runs counter to a lot of those principles. Like I'm asking for a lot of favors, which I hate asking for favors. I think you want virality, even though I don't necessarily love it. And it's so paradoxical. So you write a book, you spend the idea of the goal of a book is to have an in-depth, nuanced look at subject matter. But the way to sell that is with pithy viral headlines, right? And like that run counter to the reason you write a book, right? And it's so wrapping your head around that, and I've kind of been okay with it. So yeah, do I love that they literally lifted the entire story? They usually it's a teaser. That NBA Central one, like it basically had the entire story. It was like ChatGPT summary. It might have been, I don't know. It was like a ChatGPT summarized this. It read like that, right? And link, but you know what? I just dropped my reply link. I dropped a reply to the book link, and I think it works. I don't know. So yeah, it's definitely weird. It's definitely weird, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and I was curious too, like in those moments, or I guess like as you're completing a project like this, are you in the back of your mind, or you're like, I bet this is one of the things that will pop, or is it you do? Okay.
So that I knew. Yeah. Like I remember when the person who told me that you report it out, talk to other, but the first person who told me that story, I remember being on my couch in my house. It was like a late night call, and he's talking, and as it's going, I just kind of I'm like, oh my god, like I'm like, this is an excerpt, like this is the excerpt. I knew it, and when I sit down to write that part, I made sure I wrote it in a way that it could be kind of pulled out and that it would work, and you make sure that you work hard on all of it, but it's a lot of writing. Like that part, I really honed in on. So that one, to me, it's such a great sports book story, right? Like, that's like sports books. You want like behind the scene, the silliness, like you want these serious things that tell you these guys are mixed with some silliness. Like that to me is what good sports book scenes are. And the Will Smith, like that to me was it. It was it.
Yeah. And it was funny because I think if you take the Will Smith part out of it, and for those that don't know, there's an excerpt on The Ringer. You can go check it out. But more importantly, go actually buy the book. We'll have a link in the show notes. Again, it's called The Hollywood Ending: The Dreams and Drama of LeBron Lakers. We're actually going to give away a copy here a little bit later, which will be fun. And by giveaway, I mean I'm not putting.
No, I got you.
Away. I mean we're getting it. I was like, we'll put him on the spot live. See what it'll give us away. But
I have bookmarks. We can get bookmarks.
Oh, there we go. We love that. What I thought was so cool about that part is if you did take the Will Smith excerpt, like that, the Will Smith himself out of it, I think it was all very believable for what people think Russ is like and what LeBron is like. And so or what their perceptions of them are.
Yes.
So it was just so funny to read that part and I'm sure everyone's like shaking their head because Russ has this like no nonsense attitude about him. Where he's just going 100% all the time, whether it's on the court and off the court. And I almost wonder if this, and I'll be curious, like what the reception is to it. of people kind of, not that there's Team Russ, Team LeBron or whatever, but just kind of understanding the situation Westbrook was in a little bit more through this book.
I'll tell you what I found so fascinating yesterday, and like if somebody interviews about me about this book in 10 years, that's going to stick out. I was checking the mentions on that because I'm vain, obviously. So I was checking the mentions all day.
Of course.
And again, I was doing a scientific poll, but it really felt like to me mostly was, yeah, get him, Russ. LeBron's a phony. Team Russ. Like that's awesome. Yeah, I hate LeBron, which is fine. But then if you pull back, it's like, okay, fine. The reason that the Westbrook thing went poorly in LA is not because of LeBron. It's because Russ was awful and unwilling to fit in any way, right? And unwilling to adjust. Right. And the fact that people are still like Team Russ on that, it to me is emblematic of like this, for whatever reason, LeBron just this hater. I don't want to turn like people like get annoyed at him, want to find reasons not to like him. There's something about him for a guy who's really done nothing wrong ever. You can pick, but really done nothing wrong.
Right.
And yet, like, it's like, yeah, get him, Russ. And Russ was awful. He was horrible that year. On the court, off the court, as a teammate, his style, everything. It was just a disaster, and because of him. And yet people are like, no, good for Russ. And I found it so interesting.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing too. I like it really does, because you're right. If you like just strip it away and look at the basketball of it all, I mean, from start to like the fit, you could argue the problem is the fit never made sense, and
Correct.
So the move should have never been happened, right? Because like it's not like Russ all of a sudden played horrible. Like he was like that type of ball was not going to make sense with what they were doing. Also, That was so funny about that story too. Like just a peek behind, being like, hey, you know what might inspire this team? Will Smith.
That's very Lakers and like very Rob Pelinka. They like this genius series, bring in The Rock, bring in all these guys. It just some of these are it's fun. I mean, this was the famous. I never topped this. This was the famous Heath Ledger, the famous Rob Pelinka and Heath Ledger. I mean, it wasn't the exact thing, but the same idea. Like I'm going to bring inspiration from outside and just make up the story about Kobe and Heath Ledger, right? Like it's very him.
One of the things I was wondering too, like when you started this process of like trying to, speaking with sources and just kind of like pulling the thread on this stuff, how tricky was it? Because like LeBron specifically feels really tight knit, or just making sure that it is a curated response or a curated entry point that you're going to be getting. How is that experience of like pulling those threads to try to get a more like authentic experience of what was actually happening with the LeBron Lakers?
Yeah, it is hard. They're very good. LeBron and the Lakers, by the way, both sides independently are really good at controlling narratives, right? And I always say, this is why I get asked sometimes, like in nice ways, why did you write a book as a New Yorker? Sometimes as about the Lakers, sometimes more negative ways, like who do you think you are to write this book about the Lakers, right? And there's many reasons, but one of the answers is, being an outsider allows you to do things and come from a different perspective that others don't. Like when this is done, I cover basketball in New York. I don't need the Lakers for a credential. I don't, so it doesn't matter. I'm not on LeBron's scoops list, right? Like and it's fine. Right? And I'm not getting the big sit down from LeBron, and I'm not relying on him in my day-to-day coverage, right? Being a beat writer is really hard. You have to manage relationships in a different way when you're around people daily, right? That's the job. Like it's not like I'm not begrudging it at all. It's just a different job. When you come in and you have from distance and you can, I say I can burn bridges, but I also don't come in thinking I'm going to burn bridges. It's just I'm willing to ask questions and write things and whatever it takes. Because I always tell people, be like, what are your goals when I start reporting? And it's like, I have no goals. My goals are I'm going to ask you a million questions. You answer them, and I'm going to ask you a million follow-ups on those. And wherever that takes us, it takes us. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
We were just talking about in the most recent segment, the Joe Mazzulla media game that happened the other day. And it made me think of that because there was a couple of reporters who didn't participate in the game, but were like tangentially related, who like came out and was like, this is bad, this is bullying and stuff like that. And my first response was like, well, it seemed like all of the people that participated in it had a really good time, got some like good screen time, got some good clicks because of it. But you saying that kind of just like reframed it a little bit too, where I still think they had a good time, even though they lost by 1 million and got their asses kicked. That it's like you have to massage those relationships a little bit when you are covering the organization in that way.
Can I tell a good story that reminded me about this though?
Yeah, of course.
So I joke. after that Zoom call, after that, we were having a Zoom call with NBA writers, and Howard Beck from The Ringer, and just like kind of one of our mentors, said, half jokingly, like, that's why I think reporters should never be playing in front of the people they're covering. It's not going to look good. And he was half joking, but reminded me one time I was covering during one Lakers practice while reporting, and I have my phone in my right hand, and I'm, tweeting because I'm being a bad at my job for a minute, right? Or whatever. I'm scrolling, and the ball rolls over to me, and I pick up my left hand. I have the ball in my left hand, my phone in my right, and I'm a righty. And D'Angelo Russell from across the court yells, "Yo, pass!" And I'm in this moment where, like, do I throw it with my weak hand? And I'm not a great basketball player. I know how to play basketball, right? I'm not going to do I do the fumbling of the hand thing? That's weird. So I go for the left hand, and it's a duck. It's just an absolute duck. And he goes, he turns to somebody, goes, "He's never played basketball before." Ha ha ha! And they start laughing at me. And I'm like, oh my God. So I think, I reminded Howard of that, being like, you know what, you might be onto something here. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think about, like, this happened to me the other day where I was like running. I live in New York, and is running through Astoria Park, and near the track, the kids were playing soccer, and the ball comes over. Yeah. And so I'm going to kick it back, and I'm an adult that's well adjusted, and all I'm thinking about is like, man, I hope these 12-year-olds think I'm still athletic as I'm 40 years old. I'm just panicking. So yeah, to do that, and that's in front of teenagers, let alone D'Angelo Russell, who, I would imagine that'd be pretty stressful. I was wondering, so for those that don't know, you had another book this was how I was introduced to you, Tanking to the Top, about the 76ers, which I just was just, as a Celtics fan, this has been really fun to see pieces or books about the 76ers and the Lakers, because I get to just see that's the bad stuff in a lot of ways. But I was curious, like, what the comparisons were of trying to break a story, or not to break a story, but you know what I mean, put together a book when, because again, I would imagine very differently run organizations, ownerships, stars. Feels like the 76ers, if I were to guess, were maybe it was probably a little bit easier to get people to share some stuff.
It's interesting. So the Sixers were also not hospitable to me, but I learned this early on. It's a weird. It sounds like I'm hitting on the Sixers. I'm not. I found myself thinking a few times, man, this is like going from an indie project to like a blockbuster, and not because it's just I saw it, and even I see it with these stories that are getting picked up, like the Lakers and LeBron specifically, like this spotlight on them. I don't think I realized it when I first started doing it. Like, the spotlight is just so much heavier and stronger, and there's so many more. They are so much more invested in their own stories, and like ESPN is invested in them in a different way, and just everything around it is different. And it's not that the Sixers are not a small time organization in any way. And yet, and even, by the way, I live in New York. I cover the Knicks. That's even different, I guess, because the Knicks is more of like a, Kremlin feel to it. It's just something about the Lakers feels like a level up in terms of just everything around it, in terms of the way they think about themselves, the way the media covers them. It's different. So it's interesting. It does feel, there was a different vibe to it that I picked up on pretty early on.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good point too. I mean, because like the Lakers on its own probably already has that energy, and then LeBron on his own would already have that own energy, and then to put that together, it's kind of where I'm sure in a lot of ways they have similar interests in keeping a story in certain way, but then of course, like, they have their own interests in it as well. So that's, I can imagine that being that pretty tricky. What was anything specific that you found, like, through the bubble? Because I feel like the bubble was both like really reported on in a way that we had a good sense of what was going on, but it was also such a moment of time, and I feel like subconsciously no one wants to revisit it in some ways. I think for where we were mentally and physically. Was there anything from that time frame that you were like either really surprised about, excited to write about, or anything from that run?
So I made a choice of the bubble because I agree with you. So the way I was going to attack writing about the bubble was I was going to lean heavily on two things. One, because it's about LeBron, and obviously, sorry, I should say the bubble, obviously the title. I wanted to go very in on the games, like very in on locker room stuff. I wanted to go very in on the social justice stuff led by LeBron and the role he had in that stuff, because I think that's important. And like, I agree, we've all collectively decided we're going to forget 2020, but I do think it's important. We can make fun of LeBron, and he's kind of pulled a step back and things, but in that time, he did some things that really, you cannot agree with him, whatever, implemented real change, right? He really did. But so the third thing I want to lean in, and this is what I felt was really undercovered in the moment, I wanted to lean into the silliness, right? I thought there was just a lot of probably silliness around summer camp for NBA players. I think that's how Stan Van Gundy described it to me. Like, and I wanted to lean into that and get as many stories as I could there. To me, that was the way to do it. So like, I mean, it's an anecdote. This was in a Woj pod, but I think Woj said this one. No one picked up on it because, I listened to all these things as you're reporting and going back. And he had a throwaway anecdote when he's interviewing Kyle Kuzma at one point, and then he's like, "Yeah, you're walking around. Mike Budenholzer is walking around without a shirt on," and somehow nobody picked up on that. Like, I don't know. So I put that in there, like that. That should have gone viral at the time. I guess I don't know. Like, so an anecdote like that. I have all the stuff about the Lakers. They just like ordered a million type of things. Like they got beds. J.R. Smith is leaving an old mattress out in the hallway. I'm hearing stories about like the hallway was littered with Amazon boxes and like all the plastic that you get that we all have in our front halls, our houses. Okay, I don't remember if I put this in the book. I'm not gonna name. Well, there was. I definitely put this part that players tried sneaking in. There was a whole thing about sex, so it could be your girlfriend. So players would try to they would try to claim that random Instagram influencers were their girlfriends, right, to get them through the bubble. The best story. I don't know if I was able to put this in. So I won't give the team. I don't remember I put it in, but it's hilarious. There was a team. Once people were allowed in, I forget. You'd say teams had a number of. You had 10 extra spots or whatever. Let's say like whatever that is.
Yeah.
And one team has an assistant GM, and he gets there, goes through the quarantine, goes through a 7-day quarantine. Okay, and it's about to be day 8, and he's about to enter. Except that team, one of the team stars, decides they want their barber up there. I forget exactly what it is. And the guy who quarantined, he's told, "Sorry, you're out. Go take your home. Our spot's going to this Lakers."
Oh my God.
So like, I forget if I put that. Maybe I ran out of space. But so these are the kind of to me, that was the bubble. There was in real time Taylor Rooks. We own whatever we know from TV. She wrote a GQ story that's pretty great in real time about the bubble. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of silliness there that I wanted to try to get as much of that as I could as well. So
yeah, you mentioned that Woj pod. I forgot too, and that like triggered the memory that coaches were just going on walks together all the time.
Yeah, like that was biking, right? The Van Gundys were taking morning walks. They were both like broadcasters taking morning walks, and like LeBron would just bike by, and the players liked it. They lost a little bit, but there was a freedom there because they were there was no one around. Like it was summer camp for NBA players. So
such a weird time. Yeah, I remember like wine because like everybody was just hanging out.
Wine,
And I forget and we don't have to go down that road, but the Rockets player who ended up, because you were mentioning the influencers, but there was some Rockets player.
Daniel House. Daniel House.
There it is.
Got kicked off for having sex, basically.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. A lot of nonsense then. So I felt like that was nobody. I mean, I read about the joke, but that was something I wanted to lean into because I feel that was obviously a crazy time, but there was some. It's okay to like laugh at some of these. And I'm a big believer. Sports books, you want the serious, but people like these are characters, and we want to see the silliness with these characters.
Well, and again, in a time where like so much of it is curated by like full on brand teams, right? At this point, now I think that honestly, like love him or hate Kevin Durant, like that's one of the things that's so refreshing is it just feels like he's firing, like he's firing from the hip.
I completely agree. I think Kevin Durant. He will never do it. Like if I were advising him, I'd be like, dude, when you retire, host Drive Time Radio on NBA Radio, and you will be so happy. Like you will be so happy. I think that's what. But he wants to be like, with like an influencer and investor guy. Yeah. Like just go host NBA, do NBA. It would be the hat. That'd be my advice. I'm going to give free advice to Kevin Durant. He would.
Right. Just like those call-in shows. Like just let him rip because
exactly.
It is. I mean, like whether I agree with the take or not, or I'm like, you don't need to reach for this one, go for a different one. I'm like, whatever, man. It's nice. It's just refreshing to see it.
Yeah.
Maddie, you're right. Like that was like a fun part of the bubble. It did feel like everybody was a little bit more vulnerable or open to being vulnerable in those moments, which I thought it just made. We were all just so desperate for content too.
For sure.
It was nice. Was there anybody, and I'll get you out of here too. I want to be respectful for your time because I know, again, you're doing a million of these. And again, I appreciate you just coming on and being down for doing this.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Were there any moments or like, was there anything you weren't able to get to or somebody that you were like trying that you were excited about and that you like couldn't like cross the finish line with it?
So the best answer. So here, like I would say the general answer is like anything that I got that I felt was important, I verified, I put in, right? So anything. Yeah. The one I couldn't get, and I can talk about it because the Kobe LeBron funeral, that thing.
Yeah.
I could not get, and I forget how I wrote it. I wrote it ambiguously, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't seen there. I could not get it. Like, and I wanted to get it because it seemed like he wasn't there. It seems pretty clear he wasn't there, and I couldn't get it. Pablo Torre, I think I actually went back after he put his podcast up. I kind of then, cited him and put it in. That was the one where like I spent time on that, and I spent some time on the Kobe LeBron relationship, and again, some stuff there. And I'll give you actually one other thing, but on that stuff, I couldn't. Yeah, I just couldn't get. The other part is, okay, so the Rich Paul, Leon Rose, World Wide West relationship is fascinating.
Yeah,
and I really dove into it, and where I land, so again, I'm not. It's gonna be like an annoying tease. It's not on purpose. Yeah. I basically crossed out like 1,200. I just let's say 1,200 words, and at one point I was just like, you know what, I can't. Like everyone's contradicted. Everything contradicts everyone else. I can't figure out whose word to take on this. I'm just exit, right? But like that whole, and I alluded to a little bit, and you can find stuff, and they don't get along. We all know that as Knicks fans, but that was stuff I spent time on that I thought I was there, and just at the end I was like, you know what, I don't know. So it's just they got to know each other. It didn't work out. The end. But there's a lot more depth there, and that's all he said, and I couldn't.
You couldn't get in there. Yeah. When Pablo stuff came out, was that like, oh good, I'm glad somebody got there? Or was that like a real you son of a bitch? Like,
no, it's okay. Because again, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Right. I couldn't. Yeah, I good for him. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I tried. I really tried. I tried. Yeah. People. Everyone. Like again, I really do. People. I try to be. I'm sure somewhere you miss. I try to be very, especially sensitive stuff. I try to really be buttoned up on things and like get it really verified. Like
yeah, of course.
And write it. And if I don't have it, then I write it straight. And that one, I wasn't there. I assumed that if you would have asked me like, was LeBron at his funeral, I would have said no, right? Obviously, but like to put it in, I wasn't there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I want to be respectful for time, so I really do appreciate you jumping on. I'm gonna have, I will do the giveaway thing later, so don't worry about that. I'm gonna drop a link to the Penguin Random House, so you can go grab that book, Hollywood Ending, by Yaron Weitzman, The Dreams and Drama of the LeBron Lakers. Go check that out. Also, listen, if you need a little 76ers love or hate, that might have been a pandemic read. That might have been.
It came out March 2020. So yeah. That was
man, that was just the most fun. And then I enjoyed like the podcast run after that. It was very enjoyable. So
the Sixers, I have a place in my heart for them always. The Sixers and the Sixers community is very much a fan community. I love it. It's a special place in my heart.
Yeah. Is there anything else that I can plug for you? Send people?
No, stick on the book. I'm on whatever social media you use. You can find me in there. Just if you're an NBA fan, you'll like the book. And the way I put it is there's a Goodreads review which I tweeted out where the line is Yaron Weitzman's an asshole, but this book's really good. Well, I don't know. I genuinely don't know who it is, but listen, it's not just my friends saying nice things. So there you go.
That's great. Well, again, I really do appreciate you coming on. Everybody go click the links. We'll do a book giveaway here in a little bit. And go read up on the LeBron Lakers. Thanks again for joining us, man.
Thank you. Good luck with the marathon today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, take care.